The M2 Pro Max are out, but they might not be the ones that you should be looking at right now, because the M1 Pro isn't that far off from the new M2 Pros. With the powerful M1 chip, stunning retina display, and sleek design, this laptop is still a game changer in 2023. Whether you're a professional graphic designer, a programmer, or need a powerful MacBook, the M1 Pro has everything you need to take your productivity to the next level. So sit back and get ready for an in-depth tour of this amazing machine as we explore its features, performance, and more. Let's start with what you see. The M1 Pro has two finish options, space gray and silver. It also comes with a braided cable, which after a while can become extremely dirty. It would have been nice to get a darker gray cable, just like with the M2 MacBook Air, that matches the color of the laptop. This laptop packs a bulky build with a weight of 3.5 pounds. The weight difference is definitely noticeable from the Air. The design is also slick, with it being 1.55 times 22.12 times 31.26, which is essentially your height times depth times width. With that in mind, let's start with the height, which accounts for the MacBook Pro's liquid retina display. The display is noticeable if you move from an Air to a Pro, or from a 13-inch Pro, and this is mainly because of the improvements that Apple has made to its displays. So if you're a professional or just getting started in photography or video production, the next part is for you, because of the P3 wide color gamut for vivid and accurate color representation. Okay, let's not get too technical on what a color gamut is. It essentially refers to the output of colors that your device is capable of handling. So knowing your device's color gamut is enough to give you some indication of its color handling capabilities. Here's a 3D model of how that looks so you can see for yourself, with the different colors that our eyes can see being represented by this 3D chart. The larger the triangular area, the more the display's gamut covers a greater percentage of the visible spectrum. Simple, right? Okay, let's take things a step further and talk about the True Tone technology on this MacBook. For some, you might have heard of True Tone, but may be asking themselves, what does it actually do? The way I like to think about this is it shows the true tone of the images, hence the name. Apart from making images look more natural in different light situations, it adjusts the brightness and temperatures so that the colors on the screen fit the light around them. So how does it do this then? Well, on the Mac, Apple claims that it does this by using advanced multi-channel sensors to adjust the color and intensity of your display to match the ambient lighting so that images appear more natural. This is because more accurate images that are consistent whether you're viewing them from your studio or when you're outside. This display produces up to 500 nits brightness for clear visibility in bright conditions and 1000 nits in low light, which is 400 nits lower than the iPhone 14 Pro. Okay, let's take things up a notch because I have mixed emotions about this notch design. It's 1080p and is capable of handling portrait mode and FaceTime calls, but I just wish that it could do more, like how the iPhone's notch can have Face ID and the dynamic island. Can you imagine what having a Face ID on your Mac or similar features to the dynamic island could do? I don't think we're far off from that becoming a reality, because Apple is becoming more likely to make more iterations of the notch design, like how they did when they started with the iPhone X and now the iPhone 14 Pro. But what would a dynamic island for the Mac look like, and how would it fit into the Apple ecosystem? What would it be called? Let me know what you think that might be in the future. Let's talk ports now. I know that if you're a professional, this is where your workflow becomes better. I say this because of the ports. Look, having ports on a MacBook has become a thing for the pro users in the Apple world lately. So having a SDXC card slot, HDMI 2.0 and 3 Thunderbolt 4 USB-C ports is a luxury because it's only still available on the 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pros. And lastly, we've got the charging port for the MacBook Pros, which has a USB-C to MagSafe charger. Do you know what is key to all of this being great for professionals? It's the keyboard. It's full-size backlit Magic Keyboard with the old-school feel of the click of the buttons. Some may still like the touch bar, but in my opinion, the touch bar was a bit problematic as it would sometimes fail to respond and you would need to reset your laptop in order for it to work. I guess Apple introducing this 14-inch and 16-inch means that they'll be hopefully sticking to this design for the coming coming years. And with the Magic Keyboard, I have not had any issues with sticky keys. The Force Touchpad is a trackpad that has precise cursor control. A single click on the trackpad is all you need on opening an application or button. This touchpad also has pressure sensor capabilities that enable force clicks, accelerators, pressure sensitive drawing, and multi-touch gestures, just like how you would use all these features without realizing it. We've also got a high fidelity 6-speaker sound system with force cancelling woofers, and if you've always wondered why the MacBook Pro speakers sound so good, it's because of the force cancelling woofers, which produce low frequencies that define bass and help create a richer, more dynamic soundscape for your audio. Also, with a 60% better signal to noise ratio, the speakers on the MacBook Pro are really good. Just take a listen for yourself. Not only do these speakers sound this good, but also support for spatial audio is unmatched. The sounds that come out of these speakers is just as good when you're listening to spatial audio on the AirPods 3 and the Pro 2nd generation. The microphone is just as good with the studio quality 3-mic array with a high signal to noise ratio and directional beamforming. Directional beamforming is a signal processing technique used in the 3-mic sensor array for directional signal transmission or reception. We've talked about the external features and how they all contribute to the experience of this 14-inch MacBook Pro. This MacBook has an 8-core CPU with the option of a 10-core CPU too. The scores on Cinebench are not too bad, with the single core scoring 5th at 1143. Intel-based CPUs such as the i9, i7 and 11th gen i7 beat the M1 Pro. Still, there's room for improvement, and I'm sure this is what Apple is looking at and trying to improve on its performance with the M2. Speaking of the M2 Pro shows that Apple is taking a step further with a 30% increase in CPU and GPU performance. The multi-core ranked 7th with a score of 7,327, the winner in the test being the AMD Ryzen Threadripper. I'm not surprised by these scores because this is still the first commercially produced M1 Pro chips that have been customly made by Apple, so you would guess that there's still more to come. The new M1 Pro chips come with the option of a 10 or 12 core CPU, which is 2 more efficient cores, which you would expect the M2 Pro to have more performance. This Mac also comes with a 14 core GPU, which can be upgraded to a 16 core GPU, of which the M2 has up to 19 core GPUs. And if you think about it, it is a leap in performance, but what if you don't need that leap in performance in your everyday workflow? Over short-term projects, you might notice a slight difference, but where you do really notice the difference is when you're doing longer projects that require more sustained performance. That is where you see the M2 Pro shine. The M2 Pro still does come with a base 512GB storage option and goes up to 8TB. I always say this and I'll say it again, the more storage that you have, the fewer headaches you will have in the long run. So it might be worth considering getting the M1 over the M2 Pro, but using the money that you've saved to upgrade the storage. Just something to think about. So what about the unified memory? Well, it's still the same as it goes up to 32GB for both the M1 and M2 Pro. The unified memory has access to the entire memory resource of the computer, which is accessible between the processing components. So this means more efficiency and more computational power. This means that the CPU and GPU share memory locations rather than having distinct RAM allocations. This is key because it allows Apple to have its own architecture custom built onto the MacBook Pro. This will only get better with time, as surely the number of transistors will only grow exponentially, thus increasing the power of these machines. The M1 Pro is laying the blueprint for the future of MacBook Pros. So what about the Neural Engine? It's still a 16 core for both the 14-inch M1 and the M2 Pro MacBooks, and the job of the Neural Engine is to make machine learning much faster and more optimized, as well as improve neural network tasks to make the device overall faster faster and more energy efficient, which is all done through a special processor that is custom built by Apple. Apple also claims that its dedicated neural engine can perform up to 600 billion operations per second. I don't know about you, but I can't even imagine a billion operations per second, let alone 600 billion operations in 1 second. You would think that all of these operations would require a battery that's bigger than the laptop, but that's not the case. Having a laptop that has to keep up with our daily needs and demands is essential, and the M1 MacBook Pro is here to deliver just that. With its advanced M1 chip, the M1 Pro can deliver exceptional battery life, and even after a year of using this Mac, it's still really good. No more running out of juice in the middle of an important task or presentation, because it keeps up all day with power. 17 hours to be precise, even with the battery health of 94%, which allows you to work, play, and stay connected without worrying about having to find an outlet. Whether you're working on a project, streaming videos, or browsing the web, the M1 Pro's battery will keep you going for hours on end. Not only does this M1 Pro have a long battery life, but it charges quickly with the option to fast charge up to 50% faster in just 30 minutes. You can also upgrade your charging brick from the 67 watt to the 97 watt charging brick. And with this energy efficient M1 chip, the M1 MacBook Pro is designed to conserve energy and extend battery life so that you get the most out of your MacBook. The M1 MacBook Pro's battery is a game changer, delivering unparalleled performance, battery life, and quick charging capabilities. It's the perfect choice for anyone who needs a laptop that can keep up with their demanding schedule and lifestyle. And don't worry about excessive heat, because it has improved thermals that have been a game changer ever since it came out. Because of this, I am happy to use this as my main device for the next coming years. Although the 14-inch Pro is now an older brother to the M2 14-inch Pro, it still is a great laptop to own for the coming years. So you might want to think twice before upgrading to a more expensive MacBook for that bit more performance. Some people do need that performance, so if you don't want to spend the extra money yet still want to keep a powerful machine for the next few years, the M1 Pro is still a good option. It's been Fari, and I'll see you in the next one.